Welcome to our workshop life cycle assessment for plastic recycles workshop. This session will be mainly led by Julia Sigueruelo Palomero and Max Brinkman from Green Delta. They are LCA consultants and researchers at Green Delta, and they will give us some of the keys because, as you know, we have launched a recently campaign to provide you some interesting data based on LCAs, and they are very experts on doing and conducting LCA. So there is no better persons to teach you or to train you about how to fill all the information that you need. Um, so just a few webinar notices. The session is being recorded, so you may want to see it in the future. It will be probably posted during this week. And also make sure that your microphone is muted. You are not able to unmute yourself, the attendees, but was talking with Julia that since we expect to have a very interactive session, we want you to participate. So you can basically participate in two ways. You can use the chat function if you have any specific questions, or if during the workshop, I'm sure that Julia has prepared a very interactive, a dynamic session where she is going to probably need your feedback and your thoughts about this campaign. So basically, in the Zoom application, you can raise your hands, and I can give you the permission to talk during the presentation. So feel free to participate as much as you want. We want this to be a very dynamic workshop, not only one or two people talking. So please make sure that you participate so we don't do this session boring. And then we don't have Mentimeter in this session, only the chat and the Q&A section. But I promise you that this will be a very, very dynamic session and activity. So I don't want to steal you more time, Julia. I'm going to stop sharing and you can share again.
Super. I think you can now all be seeing my screen.
Yes.
Super. Great. So welcome everyone to the LCA for plastic recyclers that we're having as an initiative from STOPP. Maybe first of all, can you hear me well? Do you hear any drilling noises?
No, we hear you
Okay,
perfect.
that's great. The people upstairs, I think, have decided to do some drilling, but I'm happy you don't hear it. Okay, so the STOPP project is an EU project that's well, here we see the slogan, let's say, the focus is strategies to prevent and reduce plastic packaging pollution from the food system. And it's mainly and basically focusing on single-use plastics, and we're seeing other ways how to deal with alternatives, including reusable plastics, etc. And here comes also the question of recycling, etc. So here with us is Plastic Recyclers Europe, so that's Sergi, that you can also be seeing. This work with the free LCAs that we're providing is very jointly happening with Plastic Recyclers Europe, the association, who's also part of the STOPP project. And thanks, Pablo, for organizing Sustainability Innovations. Sustainable Innovations is the dissemination and communication partner of the project. So we have a nice team. Maybe here from Green Delta, we have Max and myself. We're both LCA consultants and researchers, and we are the ones that are going to be doing the work later. So a bit about Green Delta, who we are. So we're the LCA partners of the project. We're a German company since 2004, and we're a sustainability consultancy, also doing software, also doing data development. We really have a global network and recognition, even though we're based in Germany, because we have a main software product called OpenLCA, which is free and open source, and it's really used worldwide. Some of the research projects we've worked at, their logos are on the page right now. Quite some regarding plastics, Stop, Primus, a project that just finished. But we really operate in different fields, not only plastics, but also hydrogen, renewable energies, buildings and architecture, etc. A bit about ourselves so that you can get introduced to us. But maybe most interestingly, what's the workshop content? So first of all, we're all gonna see a brief introduction to life cycle assessment so that we all are speaking about the same things, okay? Even if you know life cycle assessment, then we will put everyone on the same level right now to when we speak out terms so that people are speaking out the same things. Then we will go into data collection, which is the reason of the workshop today, because this is really the blocker in life cycle assessment studies, is the data collection. So we want to make this time, we want to answer your questions. We want to make you do a bit of data collection or put yourself into this mind. So then if you have any immediate questions, we can answer them and also give you an introduction of who we are so that you're happy to then get into contact with us afterwards. So that would be the practical exercise. Then we will tell you a bit how the modeling goes once we have the data collected, and then what's coming out of it in the results part. So here we have, let's go deeply or directly into the first thing. What is LCA and why is it useful? So maybe we can put your hands up if you've know what LCA is already, you have worked with LCA. Maybe raise your hands so that we can see you. You've already worked with LCA. Nice. So like 1/5 of the team here. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Thanks a lot. Okay. So for those that didn't know, in essence, life cycle assessment is a technique for assessing the environmental impact of a product. So after doing the assessment, what we get out in simple terms would be, for example, carbon footprint, but such an assessment can also give you other environmental impacts, for example, the water footprint, even we're gonna give you, well, available, there's, in the specific method we use, 16 impact categories, so quite a lot. So this ranges between, for example, land use, acidification potential, this causes acid rain, toxicity, that's also pretty interesting. Yeah, and this model not only gives you carbon footprint, but also other things. But the industry and generally people speak about carbon footprint. And in such a model, we include not only the information of, let's say, a recycling facility itself, but also what happens before. And let's say for a plastic water bottle, yeah, one with virgin or primary material, so not recycled material, we would go from oil extraction, from really the first stages of the life cycle, oil extraction, transportation, refining, production, then transportation to retail and disposal. We look at all the life cycle to understand where is the hotspot, what's the problem. Because sometimes the problem could be outside your own facility and you have to then change the providers of certain things rather than changing your own production. Okay. Then life cycle assessment. The ISO standards for life cycle assessment are ISO 14040 and 14044, specifically for life cycle assessment. Then there's other standards coming on top that make it more specific. For example, in the buildings industry, there would be the EN 15804 norm that puts on another standard on top of the ISO standards. The ISO standards are a bit vague. They leave room for a lot of exploration, which is good for a sustainability assessment. But sometimes when you want to regulate, maybe even compare, you have to have more stricter rules. And this comes sometimes sector-wise. Yeah. So we will be following ISO 14040 and 14044. All right, and following then with the next slide, this is then how the life cycle assessment would look for recycled plastics. We have the waste that's being collected, then it's sorted, then it's taken to the recycling facility. Either sorting and recycling happens very near or in the same place, or there is really transport between sorting and recycling. And then we get our recycled polymer, our recycled plastic, and then we also have byproducts. I mean, and this, you know, maybe better than me. I don't have a recycling facility, but you of course have other things coming out of the sorting and recycling that can be sold. These are byproducts. Could be metals, could be other materials. And then finally, we have the leftover is treated in waste facilities. And here we can distinguish amongst two. We can distinguish amongst hazardous waste and non-hazardous waste, okay? This can go into incineration, landfill, generally. Hazardous then has further treatment, etc. Okay. So let me check also the chat. Very good. So then data collection is the first step in our LCA, which is what we're gonna tackle next. Then we go into modeling and analysis and communications of results in very simple terms, okay? Today we're here to tackle data collection and to respond to any questions that you might have. And we're having a nice workshop, interactive workshop for this, which is coming very soon. All right, so we said that this is how the life cycle looks like for recycled plastics, and specifically our data collection is going to be this. So we're interested in what happens in the recycling facility in general terms, as well as where the waste is sent. Yeah, the rest, which is well, the collection schemes, the sorting, this we model at Green Delta. So it's a decision in our modeling. We make market analysis of what happens in the average, and then we apply it to your model. Yes, so we don't need specifically this, but it's something that if you want to provide, we're happy to take and evaluate also. Then that would be more specific to your case. Okay, so taking into account this point of interest, I would like to simplify it even more and tell you that what we want and we need is in the end what goes in and out of the facility per year. Okay? And this may be a bit the start of the workshop. I would like to ask you, what do you think comes in this box? Yeah, what are the ingredients we could be asking for in order to make a sustainability assessment? So write them in the chat. What type of things would come in to this table, mimicking here our point of interest, what comes into the facility in general terms. So yeah, feel free to write in the chat and I'll be looking.
You can also raise your hands in case you want to talk.
Jagan saying sorted feedstock. Correct. Yeah. So let me see how many I've put. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 inputs. One sorted feedstock. Okay. VBES says energy, utilities, CCNAs. Indeed, yeah. Water, again, yes, yeah. So we have for now people saying sorted feedstock, energy, yes, which could be heat or electricity. We have some material, which is a bit vague, but someone else said chemicals. Indeed, yes, maybe additives could be another input. Depends on the output, no? If you're producing maybe pellets already. Water is definitely another input. I like this. Chemicals to clean water if there is water treatment facility, indeed. People, yes, indeed. There's people. Okay. So all categories related. So Ivan says all categories related included in scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. So these scopes, maybe you've heard about the scopes. Scope comes a lot from the greenhouse gas protocol, which is a standard that sits again on top of the ISO standards. It's a way to express emissions and how close they are to your actual facility. We're not going to be speaking about scopes specifically, but we can translate results into scopes if that's also interesting for you. Because in this type of assessments that we do, all scopes are included, including scope 3, the whole thing. Okay. Let me then tell you what I've put. So in general terms, we will need sorted waste, the amount of energy. Also, we will need to know which energy it is, electricity or if it's heat, and more information of the heat, what type of generators you're having. Then additives, packaging. Nobody said it, but it's true that we also look at packaging and water. Also, yeah, chemicals, additives, it all goes there. Okay, very good. I can see Max is helping others with more concise questions. Thanks, Max. Very good. So, okay, what comes out? Also putting it in the chat. Well, it's actually a bit given away. This one's easier because I already said it. But it's the recycled plastics, our byproducts, and waste. In simple terms, we're gonna put it like this, okay? Very good. So let's then move on to our workshop. It's time for workshop. It's more time for you now. We're gonna spend some time in our data collection template, okay? We've sent you an email with the data collection template, but if not, Max, could you put a link of or Pablo here so that they can download it? If not, I can just actually do it
Yes, just
here.
give me a second. I will paste it in the
Ah.
chat.
So the template can be found actually in our STOPP website of the STOPP project, and I think we have it in news. Well, Stop Free LCA should give you the right page. And here
I have
you
shared
have
the
all of the
link.
info. That's great. And so then here's where you can download the template. And this is the link that Pablo has just put in the chat. Okay, so if you didn't have the template, it's super easy to download. It's an Excel file that we've made. Yeah. And here you have the instructions, and even we have a nice tutorial. If you didn't come to the workshop, then you could see the tutorial where Max goes tab by tab, saying how you could, put in the information. Good. Okay, so First of all, then I would ask you to open the data collection template because we're gonna attempt how to fill it out. As I say, generally the lost in translation happens at this point, so that's why we're having the workshop, and we really appreciate if you would open the data collection template and do this couple of small exercises with us to also have a nice feedback of what you think, but also for you to understand better how to do this. The the result is really valuable, and we really wanted a lot of people to know about it because it's not very common to have a research project offer free LCAs. Um, but as part of our research in this project, this is part of the deal, and it's a great opportunity. So, um, good. I'm going to ask something in the chat. And maybe you can react. Can one react to a message? No. I thought maybe people could react to it.
No, they can't, but
Ah,
they
no, they
can maybe
can't.
raise their hands.
Okay, how many people have the Excel opened? Raise the hands. Super. Very good, guys. If you need help, let us know through the chat, please. Like in these first steps, yeah? Good. The next question is easy. Fill out facility information tab. So there's a facility information tab. I would ask you to fill it out for yourself, yeah? And I let you a couple of minutes to do so. Yes, so Sophie asks a really interesting question, very important, about data confidentiality, which we will address later on. Good. Very good point. Sophie's a good workshop member. So the functional unit is going to be decided later, and this is something that we're going to work with. So we have to tackle, Sophie is probably understands about LCA. We also have to tackle people that don't understand LCA. The functional unit in the end is, for those that don't know LCA, our results are going to refer to this functional unit. So usually it's going to be a kilogram of recycled pellets or recycled flakes of a specific recycled plastic. Okay? It will be 1 kilogram. But in the data collection, we just need you to refer to 1 year and put what happens in 1 year in your facility. That means in 1 year, you'll have how much sorted waste, how much energy being consumed, and at the same time, how many and how much recycled polymers is your facility giving. Yeah? So answering for Sophie, in this data collection specifically, well, in this data collection, you don't see the functional unit yet. You do everything per year, and then we will normalize it. Regarding data confidentiality, we have a couple of slides afterwards. Generally, it will be green delta, only seeing your data if you're submitting it to us. And there is, let's say, terms and conditions in the first tab of your Excel. There is an understanding of the terms and conditions, why we collect the data, etc. I will speak about it later. But yes, it's like as if you would contract us in order to make your LCA. It works similar. Of course, you have to give us the data for us to make the model, but the data will start and finish there. It's not put anywhere your specific data publicly at all. But let's speak about that later because many people will have more questions about it, I guess. Good. Okay, there's a lot of interesting questions, but I'd like to tackle them at the end, which has to do about methodology, no? But
Then
let's.
let me copy and paste so we don't forget about these questions.
Thank
You
you,
mean
thank
the
you.
last two ones, right?
Yes, exactly, the last two.
Okay.
Even the last three, also
The
with
last three,
Sophie.
okay, no problem.
I'll also work on them one by one. So
Thanks, Max. Yes.
Yeah, Max is helping me to answer.
Good. Good. All right. So, would anyone like to unmute themselves to tell me how this first easy warm up facility information thing went? You don't have to say specifically your information, rather, how did you find it? Is there something missing, or if you have any questions, or it all went fine? That's also a possible answer. So raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Yeah, so well, I'm just also seeing a bit what people are saying. Jude says, of course, it's gonna take longer. This is just a workshop. The idea is that you get introduced to the data collection right now, and that then you give us, you maybe speak to some people that you need data from your facility, and then you can then bring it up to us. We can also arrange a meeting to answer other questions or all that type of thing, yeah, by Remy. Yeah, that's fine. So from your feedback of silence, I feel this was very easy. Therefore, let's go to the next question, okay? Fill out the first table of what goes into the facility. So this tab here, only the waste coming in, only fill out this table, and also look at the other tables, yeah, energy consumption, water consumption, and go below. You don't have to fill out everything, but just whiz around. Maybe there's something that for you doesn't make sense, or you'd like to ask a further question. So I'd like you to.
We have a raised hand. Let me,
Nice.
Angel
Angel.
Martinez, I will allow him to speak.
Thanks. Thank you,
Angel,
Pablo.
you should be able. You need to unmute from the application. Click on the microphone.
Yes, hi. We hear you very dimly.
If not, maybe it's easier to use the chat.
Angel, can you try again speaking? Yeah, we don't hear you, unfortunately. That's a shame. Okay. So let's go. Well, does someone want to? I would appreciate. Maybe you need a couple more minutes, no, for this next step. What goes into the facility? I'll give a couple of minutes, and when someone would like to raise their hand to be like, I understood everything correctly, that's nice. If you want to raise your hand to just give a bit of feedback here, when you're ready, I'll be waiting for this.
We have Julia in the Q&A, not in the chat, in the Q&A bottom, and question from Jude. When I go to fill in the facility information, I'm struggling as for processing steps we complete grinding, washing, drying, flake, sorting, extrusion, and other steps.
Okay. So for the facility information. Yeah. These, all of them should be, everything you do should be here included, right, Max? Oh, I see.
It says it autofills and seems I can only select one.
Okay, so then you're having a different experience to me that I am just typing them and it's working. And Max, it should be like this, right?
Should be as Julia demonstrated exactly.
So just maybe try again. We would hope this is like as shown in the screen.
C says that it's not the same. I don't know, maybe you can try to re-download the Excel that I from the Stop website. And if it's a particular thing, I think you can email us because, as Julia mentioned, it shouldn't be.
Yes, I've downloaded this template this morning, so from the official place, so it should be fine. Could we put the stop email here, the one that
Yes,
reaches us, so that people know where to email also?
sure.
Thanks, Jude, for the feedback. Yeah, so Pablo has put our email address to speak directly with Max and myself. It's more for the follow-up, for some things that don't work with the template. Then yeah, let us know here and we can help you in stop.eu.project. Could you try maybe another tab? Is it just that cell that's giving you problems or the rest of works fine, the rest of the Excel?
There is another question from Remy about pre-consumer in the chat. You will treat it like virgin materials and apply border-free attribute only to PCR?
Max, do you want to answer this question?
Yep, thank you.
I think you can also tell us via voice.
Okay, so previously we have not come upon this specific problem so far, but theoretically, if we had pre-consumer waste that would, by our methodology, would not be considered as waste, but as scrap, and would therefore indeed still need to get some amount of virgin material burdens. And Remy, I'm assuming that by PCR you're referring to post-consumer recycling, if I'm correct there. Anyway, very interesting question. Thank you.
Yeah, so it would not be burden-free. That's something that we can say now. It's a complex question, depends on, like what happens really depends a lot on the case itself and what would have happened to the scrap if not, and things like that, in my opinion. And generally, yeah, maybe Sergi can also speak a bit about the thoughts from Plastic Recycles Europe on pre-consumer scrap, post-consumer, yeah. Yeah, exactly, correct. So then the post-consumer scrap, sorry, the post-consumer recycled material is burden-free. The waste collected post-consumer is burden-free. And the other one, we take into account the previous life, indeed. And currently in the chat, it's happening the standard discussion about pre-consumer and post-consumer waste. Okay. How are you doing with the data collection itself? Any questions? Any stories you want to tell us about how is it going? If no one's stuck, then we can move on to the next one, which would be fill out first table of what goes out of the facility, and then look at what information is expected there. So that's what comes out of the facility. And if you would like to share how it's going on your own, filling it up, questions you might have, feel free to raise your hand and we can speak. And we do it like this because usually a lot of people have the same questions. So maybe I can address a specific question in the chat. Chihiro is asking, we operate multiple plants and gathering all the required data will be quite resource intensive. Maybe then here I can clarify. One Excel is for one facility, one plant. It works like that. If you have 3 plants you'd like to assess, then we need 3 Excels back. would it be possible to specify which data points are currently missing? For example, polymer type, so we can prioritize accordingly. Specific data points, well, everything we need is in the data collection template, which might look big or not, depending on if you have experience, but I can assure you, we've traced it that we've put it down to the most essential things that we would need to make it simpler for you and enough information for us to make a good model. Very important is the energy you're using, the waste you're producing, if it's hazardous. Actually, very important is also to understand specific emissions, which we actually didn't speak about, but the facility itself, the plant itself can also have direct emissions. If you're burning something, it will have direct emissions, or maybe emissions to water. I don't know if you measure the quality of your water before and after treatments. This is also interesting. What happens? Is there some emissions happening to the water? We can also give you results there if we include it in our model. To have specific quantities per year is also important. Like actually a very important point would be what's the yield per year in your specific year that you've chosen, how much of recycled pellets or flakes are you making, so that then we can normalize everything. We have a raised hand.
It's a test, sorry. It's only a test just to check that
That it
we can
works.
see the issues.
So Ignacio's not you.
No. So, Ignacio, can you test?
Yes, hi. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
perfect,
Okay.
perfect. It
Okay.
works. Thank you. Okay, so in case you are shy, feel free to join us. You can also speak rather than write in the chat. Just wanted to double check it.
Max is doing a really good job answering people. Maybe I can tackle the last question from Remy. Since you are not asking the other byproducts fate, example, if they are recycled, incinerated, you will make an assumption of what happens to them. So first of all, a byproduct will never be incinerated because a byproduct has a market value for us. It has a market value and will be sold. So that therefore we cannot take it into account as a byproduct. If something is going to incineration, it's a waste. And then to answer your question, let me check specifically this, what comes out of the facility. Byproduct, we would have to know what it is. Here, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are assuming the product is put to the market, the general market.
Yeah, that's correct.
And if it's gonna go to incinerated, it's considered a waste. So we have two types of waste, hazardous and non-hazardous. And we ask, please describe the destination of the waste. So you say how much, and maybe you include a bit information here where the waste is going. I hope this helps you, Remy. maybe 1 more minute for you to whiz through, and we can move on to the presentation in this minute. If you'd like to ask us a question already, feel free to use the chat if you're a bit shy, or open the mic. So then, I hope everyone has seen the Excel, has at least interacted with it a bit. If you have questions from here on, let's tackle them at the end. That's what your work in this initiative would be if you want to participate. Okay? Then let me tell you what our work is. So the modeling. The modeling is done by Green Delta. It will be made using the OpenLCA software, which is a software that runs on our specific desktops. The data will be stored in Green Delta, and it is treated with confidentiality. So by agreeing to do an LCA with us, we go into the usual client consultant relationship in which you provide us this Excel and we store it locally. I can show you already, because we put together how this data is used and protected in the first page, which has the data privacy and security policy. You can have a read over this, but I will also in the next slide speak a bit about it. And we are happy also to sign an NDA if this is important for you. So this is how we usually work with our clients. This is already signing off an NDA, because if you fill it out and you send it to us, then it's as if we have an NDA in place. But we're happy to sign your own company NDA if that's necessary too. Okay, so you fill out the form, you send it to us via email, or you upload it to your sharing platform where we can download it. That's also fine. And if everything goes well, we don't have any questions, everything's very clear, and we make a model, and we get back to you in a month. It goes very quickly. If we don't understand something, or maybe you don't understand something, then we probably have to get back to you for a clarification and things like that, okay? So we will come back with questions if needed. Usually there is some questions by both sides. Yeah. How this fits in the STOPP project. So as part of the STOPP project, the objective in the research project is to obtain average European datasets for recycled plastics. This helps sustainability assessments have better quality data and helps uptake of recycled plastics in the market. Yeah. Currently, there is the LCA datasets for recycled plastics are not that readily available as, for example, the ones for virgin plastics. So once you want to do an assessment assessing the sustainability of a recycled material, there's not nice LCA datasets to put in. This initiative already came in a previous research project called Primus, where we worked also with Plastic Recyclers Europe, and some of you might have already come across it. We produced the first iteration of average LCA datasets for recycled plastics, and this time is a second iteration. It's just that this time we also want to give back to the community that provide data by making an LCA for them, because we have to process this information anyhow. The data of your specific facility is aggregated, meaning the individual information is lost. Average European datasets in the end will be publicly available. And these are average inventories. As I said, the individual facility information is not seen. We do some aggregation. Communication of results. So specifically for your LCA, we will give you a digestible report that is useful for you following the ISO 14040 and 14044. So before, someone was speaking about the 14067, which is specifically looking at carbon footprint. That's more specialized. The ISO 14040, 14044 looks at the whole life cycle assessment and its various impact indicators, not only carbon footprint, but including also carbon footprint. So in this report, a nice introduction is made in order to address questions like you've been asking: how do we treat pre-consumers? What's the goal and scope? Meaning, what's the functional unit? What's the system boundaries? What's the assumptions we made? Yes, so that if you would like to distribute this report, people understand the numbers that are behind. And it will also have the results. So the results include the total impact results, yes, with uncertainty, hotspot analysis, which means which parts of the whole analysis are the hotspots, are the most impactful, where should we look at when trying to make a certain thing better. If you would like us to concentrate on a specific impact category, we can also do it. You can say, for us, it's important carbon footprint. We don't mind about the rest. But you could also say, actually, we're really curious about toxicity and where the hotspots are. We can also then investigate a bit more toxicity within the hotspot analysis. So when giving us the data, you can also specify what you would like. And also recommendations accordingly. We will send this to you in a meeting we establish so that you can also ask questions, etc. Yeah. If everything goes well and we understand your data very well, we can give you back the results in 1 month. Okay. If we delay a lot with data collection, meetings, etc., it can take longer, but we want this to be relatively quick in terms of LCA world. This is very incredible. So, for example, this comes out of the work we did in the previous research project. We have all these impact categories were part of the results in the end, and you can see here, for example, climate change would be the carbon footprint. So you would have a nice set of results. We can also include a comparison with the virgin or primary counteractive, so counterpart. So here we have, for example, recycled PET pellets against the average data set for LCA for primary or virgin PET pellets. So you can compare this. And also very interestingly, which is something that industry does in other sectors, we will also, only for you, give you feedback of how your facility stands in the average collected facilities, yeah? So we will have a 100 for the, or a 1 for the normalized results of the impact categories of the average data set, and we will rate you against the average. And this is I think really nice information, and it's only gonna be given to you because it's only interesting for you, of course, because that's your specific facility. So all of this information we can give back, which we're very happy about. Finally, or semi-finally, I have here my summary. Before we go into the Q&A, we have the summary page. So we presented, in simple terms, life cycle assessment for plastic recyclers. We went through data collection, which for us was the primarily goal to introduce you in this workshop to the data collection templates and how it's gonna work in the STOPP LCA projects. Then next steps to participate, you fill out the Excel and send it to us to stop.eu.project@greendelta.com in the most simple terms. We're very happy to have a next meeting with you. If you have questions, if you don't understand part of the template, we're also happy to help. The deadline where we're collecting data generally is the 31st of January. After this, we can't include or we can't collect more data because the project will finish eventually, and therefore we have to put a deadline. We're happy to do your assessments before. If you send us your specific facility data before, we're happy to do the LCA for you earlier, yeah? But so that you know that this is the end, 31st of January. And yeah, we're happy to speak further. And from here, I'm really happy to then engage in a discussion or answer questions. I know that Pablo and Max have been doing their job in somehow tackling them as we go, but yeah.
Yes, actually,
Thank you.
now we had a lot of questions. I think it's easier also if you open the chat tabs, Julia, because some of them are very, very long. So maybe you get lost, but I will read it. So the first one comes from Sophie. If the goal is to get average European assessment, what is the minimum percentage of coverage of recycling activity in Europe in data collection at which you will consider results significant enough to meet the goal?
Love that question. We will do as well as we can and then publish the results as documented as we can. So the non-recyclers community, Plastics Europe, already does this, and they say they cover really high percentage. This is our aim also, Max. So I hope we cover really a lot. In the last data collection, we we couldn't mimic the Plastics Europe data collection scheme, let's say. But this is always our aim. But Max, do you have any specific answer to her technical question?
I already answered it in the chat,
Oh.
but so far no specific cutoff or like no specific goal has been quantified for that yet. But as Julia said, we will do our best to collect comprehensive data and aim to have a high enough representation of European recycling capacities.
In the case that there's a specific polymer that doesn't have a minimum representative data collection, we don't publish them.
Okay, we'll jump to another user. Remy asks, in which format will be the public results available? We are talking about full aggregated LCI usable by nonprofit and commercial database providers.
Great question. Thanks, Pablo. Several ways. They will be aggregated lifecycle inventories in two types of formats for lifecycle assessment. That means ILCD, the European format, and JSON-LD, which is the OpenLCA format. They will be, the license over them is Creative Commons, the most flexible license, meaning anyone can use them. It's basically average inventory.
Okay, and I think we have time for one more question. Do you also accept data from European but non-European Union countries?
Right now, we're triggering European countries. Yes. Right now, we would be triggering European countries. It would be amazing to also collect from other regions. Yeah.
And the last one, which background database will you use? I assume EcoInvent.
Yes, so the database we use is EcoInvent, but we also publish the inventories without the background database so that there can be used by anyone. Also, non-equivalent license holders so that it's more democratic in that sense. But Pablo, we had 1.5 hours for this workshop, no?
Yes, we have more time actually. So
Maybe we don't need an hour more, but it would be nice to just go over people's questions because I feel that's very important.
yeah, sorry. So it was my mistake. Sorry. I'm used to have only 1 hour, but yeah, we have 30 more minutes. So sorry. And also feel free to raise your hands if you want to talk.
Max, any question you feel has to be highlighted or something that we haven't tackled yet?
There are some questions by Sophie about basically the replacement of virgin plastics with recycled plastics, and also comparing in general when it comes to recyclates that can have very different specifications.
Yes.
So
I love it. How can you compare virgin without knowing application? We simply compare the data sets. You are very right. Comparing LCA is a dream that is not very realistic, indeed. It's only us that we can compare amongst the data sets we produce for people to have a general understanding, because there's people that also want to compare, no? Even if it's hard to compare. One shouldn't compare a data set that another person has made, specifically if it's with maybe another database, assumptions, methodology. We compare 1 kilograms. That would be the functional unit, and it's for showing. We offer it in a table, basically. So, okay, more questions. Why do you not mention ISO 14067 since we talk about carbon footprint? We could mention a lot of standards. We focus on ISO 14040 and 14044, which are the backbone of life cycle assessment. From there, then there's other specific standards, including 14067 for carbon footprint, indeed, but that is not the focus. And these studies have a specific methodology, a specific functional unit, a specific assumptions we make, how we treat pre-consumer and post-consumer, all of these questions that Max has been answering, we have written in a methodology report also. That already exists. If you're interested, we can also send it to you. So Max, maybe a question for you. I don't know if you already answered this. How are you to handle too vast complexity of recycled products? Some contain 40% of recycled polymers and 60% talcum, some 10%, 90%, and all in with fire retardants or the additives, etc. So one value average does not mean a lot, don't you think? What's your comment there?
okay, so I'd actually typed out an answer to this earlier, but generally I have to say, yeah, recycled plastics can be very different from each other, even if you have the same polymer being recycled twice, for instance. And we are working on incorporating that into our method. However, that has not previously been possible for us because we simply didn't have the data that is required to assess this.
Max, did you also answer the question about allocation approach?
Yeah, I think so. I hope that it was seen earlier, but otherwise I can just say it here as well. I mean, some people picked up on it. that for allocation in of the recycling process, we simply applied mass allocation. So physical allocation and then using mass as the basis for that. And between like first and secondary life cycle, we applied a cutoff for wastes.
Super. From here, would someone like to ask another question or raise their hand and say something?
Yes, we just got a new one now. Will you include the sorting process outside recycling plants? Example for household waste, yellow bin sorting into various plastic fractions?
Do you want to answer this question?
Sure. So basically, so for previous assessment, for the previous eco profiles that we produced, what we did is we created two different sets of system boundaries where we either assess the gate-to-gate process, so basically only what happens at the recycling site specifically and what actually contributes to the final production of the recyclate, not the sorting previously. And the second system boundary definition that covered also the sorting and the collection of the specific waste.
So yes, there will be the data set available with and without the sorting. And the sorting we model ourselves with market data. Unless you want to, for us to take it into account for your specific LCA, then we can also have your specific collection scheme. But for the average data sets, we don't include it afterwards. I was wondering, do you want to say something on behalf of Plastic Recyclers Europe before the webinar ends, also to our audience?
Just to mention, hello everyone, just to mention the thing of the pre-consumer and post-consumer that also a participant brought before. So we normally collect this information, the split pre and post-consumer in all the surveys that we do, and then we can discuss also what we do also with this split. And from our side, we encourage all participants here, as well as PRE members who are also informed of this LCA, which will probably bring more updated information on the current status on the different indicators for the industry. And yeah, at the end, it's also a great opportunity for all of you to have this personalized assessment of reports. So you actually can test from the data that you are collecting from your plan where you stand and how the different indicators show. And just to encourage everyone to participate in this survey before end of January.
Seti, very nice words.
If don't know if the people will have more questions. If not, just make sure that you have our email address to enter any other question that you may have in the future. Another question was regarding if the templates, or I mean, if these slides are gonna be available, and the answer is yes. In the same post where we have posted the Excel file and the video tutorial that Green Delta prepared, there I will upload the recording of this session and also the slides of this presentation, so you can have all the information available to you. Julia already shared the link in the chat. Thank you so much. Rather than that, I just would like to thank you all the participants to attend and thank you for such a very proactive session. It's been a bit challenging to manage all the questions, but I think we did it. And if not, please send us an email. We will be happy to help you and to support you. Also, the people that has any issue with the Excel or with the format, keep in mind that if you send us an email, the Green Delta team can double check it and look into the issue. Rather than that, I would like to thank Sergi, Max, and Julia for such a valuable presentation and for such a brilliant initiative to offer these LCA's activities. And rather than that, I just want to thank you. Stay tuned to the stop activities, and it's been a pleasure to share this 1 hour and 10 minutes with you. I don't know if you guys want to say something before leave the session.
For me, that was a really great closure. Thanks, Pablo, Sergi, and Max.
Yeah, and thank you for the valuable discussion as well in the comments. It was very helpful.
Yeah, from my side, thank you for your participation, and we look forward to your input.
Yes, hopefully hear you soon.
Great, great. So having said that, thank you so much. We keep in touch and hope you have a lovely week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.